I can see an obvious 40-pounder, half beached, just sat on the weed, just rolling its tail.
How did you manage that?
Not very well. And I could have come close to thumping him that day. The years of blanking screamed out dustbin at the top of my voice.
This is a busy public park, right?
It was known in the area as the car park of the Cotswolds. Larry Otter, he's the one who had the power. And he was a runt, and now he's now known as the king. It was being left by everyone else. I didn't have to compete with someone else in that area. A mate came in, shot, and went, "Oh, you're smiling, you obviously ain't heard." Late record, and yeah, just looking solid and pristine. And...
Right, sorry to interrupt, but whilst I have your attention, I just want to talk about a couple of things. Firstly, would you please subscribe to our YouTube channel? We would massively appreciate it, and you will stay very much up to date with everything YouTube orientated that we do. Secondly, and as well as asking you for a little favour, we have a little something that might be of interest to you. If you click the link in description or scan the QR code on screen, you will be entitled to 50% off your first 3 months as a Cypography member. And as a Cypography member, you will get access to over 1,000 videos and several other member perks.
Okay, so you're really in the swing of the car park now. You know, you've caught some of the absolute creme de la creme. How do you go about making sure that you get the rest of the ones you want?
Observation to a certain degree. Try to sort of, you know, they all had their own characteristics. Be that you could, areas of the lake they'd be in. Obviously, for spotting fish, they all had, you know, normally you could work out which one it was in a relatively short space of time if you had a decent view, be it a mark on the back, be it, you know, obviously a scale in a certain place, shape and size of them, you know, so you could normally work out, and you knew the likely pretenders who would be with which one, so you could pretty much gather where each fish wanted to spend, be it just to sunbathe, or be it obviously you wanted them where they were going to feed. But if there was, you know, spending a lot of time in a certain part of the lake, then obviously you felt you're increasing your chances by fishing that area. So yeah, just certain swims, certain fish would have certain swims, but then again, when I was sort of targeting Heather, at that stage she started doing the odd curveball capture from swims that, you know, she came out snags, and it was like, she's never been out snags. It's like, you know, thanks for that, you know, suddenly you're thinking, oh, certain swim I'm going to catch her from, and then she does like a random one. So you always had a chance wherever potentially, but there were certain Heather swims that you wanted to sort of fish if you were fishing blind. So she liked to spend a lot of time out in front of Trumptons in the weed, and would sit there all day sunbathing. You got that scum mark on her back, which was just basically sunburn. You know, she'd just sit there with her back out, getting dry, and it was easy to spot. You just get halfway up the tree and you look through and you just see a white strip, and you knew it was Heather sat there. And one day I spent, like, she didn't move more than probably 6-9 inches in a whole day, and then all of a sudden, as the sun was going down, you just see a little bit of a disturbance, just kick her tail and drift off, but where to? That was the thing. So yeah, they all had their own characteristics, their own personalities that you were trying to fine tune. But then my next capture was a repeat, like Pearly again, fishing out in the pond. Out Weight Man's again, same as single, but a different spot, closer in spot. Again, I'd seen a fish show. I'd looked for a move on the Sunday. I think I'd got up on the Friday or Saturday. It was a bit busy. I think I was up in the end works. Had a walk round, see a fish show. in close. I think I was chatting to Lewis, who was on Trumpton's. We heard one, and it was in close on waiting man's. So I moved straight in, and then that night again managed to find pretty much where it showed, a tiny rock hard bit, but it was literally, you could land 4 or 6 inches away and it wouldn't get the same crack, and then you suddenly got that reverberating rod crack.
Are you still casting at this stage?
Yeah, always did. Yeah.
Why?
Because I didn't like boats. Everyone else was using them, but no, I was spotting. But
Do you think it held you back?
essentially, yeah. But I didn't think. At one stage, a couple of times I used a boat, borrowed a boat to put some bait out, and I was using a lot of particle. So spotting, and someone said to me, "Well, just put your rug in it." It's like, yeah, but it's not the same, is it? It's like, I want to cast it, you know, I was fishing. But... And I say, I could have just joined the boat, and like most people were using bait boats, drop the rigs. Obviously you could be a lot more stealthy, certainly a lot quicker, but no, I was casting. And yeah, that particular spot, and I was using hemp and corn, I think it was just a fake bit of corn as hook bait. And so again, small bits at this point, apart from a single, which was half a Brazil nut. All the others have been on tiny hook baits over tiny feed, you know, be it pellets or be it particle. So yeah, that was a repeat of Pearly, so it was 34. September time, there was a few fish getting up round by the bars. I fished the end works, had a couple of commons.
Was this
quite
the year
rare
you
to
top
the
rod
bank.
for a bit?
I had 5 that year.
Mm.
I think Steve had 7 maybe.
But for a short while, I remember from the book, you were up there, you were sort of
Yeah,
toe to toe with
maybe.
Steve for a bit, albeit
Yeah,
he
I
was
think so.
catching 50
Yeah, then he
pounds,
went
yeah.
and had I think that might have been the year we had a couple in secret. He had Uglow and... Is it single again? I think it was single again and Uglow, I think, when he had his silly hat on. So I think he had 7. That year? No, Darren must have had more.
It was the year Darren was top rod, right?
The single year was, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it was. Yeah, Darren had actually all of them, and a couple of them twice.
Was that the year Tell came back as well?
Yes. Yeah. Pretty sure.
I remember
It's one of them, might have been second. Or was it Darren's second year? Yeah. Yes, I think it was, yeah, thinking about it now. So I think, yeah, when Darren had Chunky, I think Tal might have photographed it. So...
Good angling going on. Steve, Tell, Darren,
No, it was the following year, because that was the year... No, it was the following year, because that was the year I lost Heather. 2 days after Tal got it. So, yeah.
So after the recapture of Pearly...
I might just go into like a...
Yeah.
flashbacks. It's like crying uncontrollably. Yeah.
After Pearly, John?
Couple of commons in September. So, yeah.
Would you pull off for the winter then?
3 commons, sorry.
It did do the very odd winter.
Yeah, and I used to fish early doors because the dustbin would do a winter bite. So yeah, at that point, and certainly that year, because I had more time, I did fish in the winter. Predominantly going winter form, curly bars with the 2. They'd sit out in that middle water. But no, I think that year Lewis might have had, I can't remember if it was that year or the year after, Lewis had baby orange out in the middle. It did do the odd, but dustbin was generally, and at that point, obviously I hadn't had dustbin, then I always had a chance of one of the others, but the dustbin would have been a worthy winter capture. So yeah, I did used to do a bit in the winter, but yeah, I finished that year on 5. Yeah. So yeah, first year of having more time, albeit 3 commons and not, and 2 mirrors, and one of them being a repeat. So it could have gone another way. Could have had 5 that hadn't been done. You know, it was that. Them fine lines, you know, from, you know, still success, but from a success and move on to a success and still plenty to play for.